So you want to fall asleep fast? We've all been there, done everything we thought we needed to do before bed, or whatever the latest Huberman podcast said that we needed to do, and then finally ready to actually fall asleep. But then, nothing. No matter what we do, our brain just will not switch off and fall asleep. With each passing minute, one that's eaten into the time that we could actually be asleep, making the next day worse and worse. Sleep never really came naturally to me, especially with uni when you're trying to juggle work, exercise, friends, and maybe a little too much going out. All of these things piling on together, and the change in the sleep schedules just meant that I just couldn't fall asleep at all. Now, even in this time, I was following a lot of the Huberman and Brian Johnson protocols. Well, maybe not all the protocols, but I was still trying to do things to improve my sleep and actually wind down before bed, supposedly to help me fall asleep quicker. Then one night I was in bed, tossed and turning, and thought, I'm actually more awake than I was an hour ago when I was trying to wind down for bed. And I thought, no wonder. When I'm in bed moving like a rotisserie chicken, there's obviously no chance I'm gonna fall asleep because my brain thinks that it's time to be active and move about. So I was thinking, what was I doing in the wind down that was actually allowing my body to calm down and sort of feel ready to sleep? And then I thought, well, I just need to be still. So I did that. I laid in bed, got comfortable, and I just thought, for the next half an hour, no matter what my mind is doing, I'm just gonna keep my body as still as humanly possible. And it worked. Over time, my brain just got more and more bored, and my body signaling to my brain that actually it is time to start calming down and fall asleep. Over time, my brain just thought, yeah. Now don't get me wrong, it was still taking forever. I was probably still in bed for about 30 or 40 minutes, but it was a lot better than the tossing and turning for hours, which I'd had done before, where you end up getting too hot and you just get more anxious and angry almost that you just can't fall asleep no matter what you do. And that's one thing you gotta focus on. You can't force yourself to actually fall asleep. You need your body and mind working on the same page so you can actually fall asleep naturally. Now obviously at this time I still hadn't had the million things that you need to have before bed to actually wind yourself down, which I cover in ridiculous detail if you want to check that out in the description below. But the more things I was adding in over time was just helping me calm myself down before bed, and this stillness just then actually allowed me to drift into sleep. That's the thing, nowadays it's all 10 habits to actually fix your sleep and do this and do that, but no one actually tells you the process of actually drifting into sleep. So then over time, as I got better sleep hygiene, adding in all the good habits and getting that proper wind down routine sorted, the time it took me to fall asleep was minutes. To a point now, I know I get into bed, I get into position, and I can't even remember falling asleep. So, what you want to do tonight, even if all your other habits and routines are a complete mess, which again you can fix if you want to check out below, you want to get into bed, get into a position that you're actually comfortable and normally fall asleep in, and just be still. Now, I normally sleep on my side because that's just what I find the most comfortable. So when you're in this sleep position, you then just want to focus on your breath. It's sort of like a meditation when you're sort of in bed, even though you're on your side, just focusing on that breath. Any thought you have, just pushing that away, and then pairing that of just calming and pretty much making your brain bored to eventually get to the point where it just falls asleep. And your body being still just again reinforces those signals that it's time to actually drift into sleep. Now obviously shit still goes wrong, so you might be in bed 30-40 minutes down the line thinking I'm still nowhere near close to sleep. I've been there. I've had nights where I've just not been able to fall asleep. So what I do is follow the advice of Matt Walker, one of the absolute goats in sleep. And what he says is, the first thing, actually get out of bed. It seems a bit strange that if you want to fall asleep and you're not, the first thing to do is get out of bed. But what this does is that it disassociates your bed as a place of not being able to fall asleep. Because your brain's really good at associating items or places with certain feelings and habits. This is why a lot of people feel a lot more relaxed at home and can only really lock in with work if they're in like an office or library or somewhere they can actually concentrate. So that's the first thing you want to do. Remove yourself from the bed and just go do something calming. Either sit on a chair or even on the floor, take some deep breaths, maybe do some meditation. One of the apps I use is called Medito, and one of my favorite sort of sessions, as you like, on there is actually one that gets you back to sleep, which is a full body scan. Now, when you're doing this, obviously you're going to be still in a comfortable position, And it just takes you through each part of yourself, just relaxing it, releasing any sort of tension, and just calming both your mind and body. Now, doing something like this is great. You're sort of getting yourself out of this sort of anxiety and anger mindset so you can actually bring yourself down ready for sleep. So after this, I'm normally nodding off on the floor anyway. So I then get up, I then sort of fluff the duvet, pillows, everything like that, make sure it gets a little bit cooler, because normally once you've been in bed and not been able to sleep for an hour, it gets pretty hot. And then I just repeat the process as before. I get into a comfortable position, make sure that I'm as still as I possibly can, and then just focusing on long, deep breaths until over time, again, the brain just gets bored and falls asleep. But again, the most important thing when you can't get to sleep is your mindset, because you don't want to let your anxiety and emotions feed into yourself, which is just going to keep you awake and not asleep for longer. Again, another great thing Matt Walker always says is that if you can't fall asleep, just allow yourself to rest. Just lying in bed, closing your eyes, and then just allowing yourself to relax and just think, even if I'm not falling asleep, I'm just going to have some rest here. And a lot of the time, having that mindset of calming yourself just means that you can actually fall asleep eventually anyway. Honestly, getting good sleep is just brilliant. People always talk about the benefits and the habits and all that kind of stuff, but actually waking up 100% rested is just a game changer. It's honestly one of the best drugs that you can take, and it's for free, and also doesn't destroy your nostrils. Again, I could talk about sleep until you probably fall asleep. So if you want every detail on how I get 100% perfect rest every single night, or if you just want guides on how to make real progress in your life, then check out the description below. This is the time to start taking action. And as always, love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.